today we're going to do some bottom rail shaping on this 10-foot waterlog. We'll kind of give you some general tips about, you know, how to go about it, how to approach the right shape of your rail. Obviously every board that gets built, you know, the rail shape is different, so we can't really in this one video tell you exactly where to go, how deep to cut bevels and things like that, but we'll go over the general theory and principles of how we approach shaping the bottom rail of your board. Okay, so we've got our nice hard edge going around the board. If you look at your seams, you can see where your bottom plank seam is and where your starter strip seam is. You essentially have a 1/2-inch square material in this bottom corner of the board that you can shape into, because you have your starter strip and behind that you have your chine log. So essentially you have 1/2 inch in and a 1/2 inch down from this corner that you can work your way into. So one trick is take a pencil and just mark a line around your board at a 1/2 inch, just to kind of give you a reference point. You know you're not going to shape too much further in past that line. As other references, you can just take a pencil and put some other lines even further in, just so you have something. Once you start to cut away this corner, you start to lose your reference point. So by using this to put some parallel lines around the board, you always have something to measure to and for something for your eyes to kind of register on as you make sure your board is symmetrical from side to side. So on this board, it's going to be a pretty full round rail. So we're just kind of using the seam between your bottom planks and your starter strip as a guide, and we're going to create a 45-degree bevel in the middle of the board here. So basically we're going to connect a point a 1/4 of an inch down and a 1/4 of an inch in, and we're going to do a bevel connecting those two. So I'm going to hold the block plane on a 45 to the bottom and just start making passes. And with every cut, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not tilting or changing the angle. I'm trying to kind of register the tool with my hands to make sure I'm not pivoting. And once I get to connecting these 2 points with a nice flat surface, that's kind of as far as I want to go in this section of the board. Okay, now that my primary bevel is established, basically just going to come back with the same tool and knock this bevel corner off and this corner off. So we're basically creating 3 bevels now coming off your planks. So I'm going to change the angle. Technically this would be at a 22.5 degree angle, let's say. And these bevels are going to be smaller because the closer we get to round, again, the bevels are going to be smaller. And we're just about approached our line in here. Give us just enough room to kind of blend it into the bottom planks. So now I take my spoke shave and kind of starting with the bottom, I'm going to take a series of steps of passes, each one changing my angle just a little bit to kind of smooth out these facets that we created. And just kind of go until it feels good. Okay, so back here in the tail, on this board we're going to just do a little tucked edge. So we're going to start out the same way, except because it's going to have a harder tail, we don't quite want to cut on a 45. We're going to steepen up our angle a little bit, maybe 30, 35 degrees. Again, you know, you kind of have to, it takes a little while to get used to this, but you know, we'll just do our best. So we're going to cut this first bevel. Okay, so we've got that first bevel. We're going to try to maintain, basically this line is going to become kind of the beginning of our tucked edge. So at this point, we don't want to mess with this too much. We're going to start to take off this lower bevel edge and start to create the radius up into this edge. And because this is such a thinner board, I'm almost not even worrying about a second bevel. I'm kind of just starting my radius and rolling the rail of the board up until I meet that edge. Okay, if this was a board that we were going to continue soft rails right off the tail, then we would knock this upper bevel edge off and kind of roll it into the bottom planks, just like we did in the center of the board. But on here, we're going to try to establish this tucked edge, and it slowly kind of dives and comes into the board just forward of your fins, and blends into your softer rail forward. But from here back, this is kind of what we're looking for, and we'll just do some sanding.